your thoughts on Proverbs 21:19? Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Also, 777.
Oh, no. Welcome to the whatever podcast. So your thoughts on Proverbs 21:19?
I like that we just jumped right into the Bible. That's awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
I would say that, yeah, you should aspire to marry the right person. Definitely.
Okay.
Without question, you should aspire to marry the right person, and part of that is making sure that when you're dating, you're dating somebody of value, and that also when you're considering looking for someone of value, you also take a second to measure yourself and see if you are a person of value that's worthy of marrying, because I think people forget that part, and that's almost the most important part.
Got it. So recently a video went pretty viral on the internet, and Candice, you actually tweeted about it, something about shashuka. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So Nick, if you can pull a video, we're going to just have the panel react to it, and then before you go full screen on that, so Matt Walsh posted it, and I saw this everywhere. I saw it yesterday. Her life doesn't revolve around her family and kids, so instead it revolves around TV shows and pop stars. Worst of all, she's too stupid to realize how depressing this is. And then Candace quote X'd it, quote tweeted, I don't know anymore. Quote X'd it. This is what was future. Wait, this is what was. This is what future depression, Xanax and wine combo nights alone looks like. But hey, the shashuka.
It's gonna be amazing.
So let's play the video. Nick, if you can go full screen on it, and then we'll get the panel's reaction.
Xanax wine nights.
It's 10:45 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm 29 and single, and I don't have kids yet. Here's what your Saturday morning looks like when you're single at 29 and you don't have a kid running around the house. I didn't rise from my bed until 10:15. Every time I thought, I should probably get up and do something. I thought, why? Nobody's making me. I'm not missing out on anything. I went to Beyonce last night, and I didn't get home until 1 a.m. And I danced and drank my little heart out, and I didn't pay a babysitter to watch my kids as I did that. And I woke up a tad hungover this morning, which is probably why I was in bed for so long, and I was just scrolling on my phone and I saw a picture of shakshuka, and I thought, you know what sounds really good? Maybe I'm gonna learn how to make shakshuka today, because I have no plans and I don't have kids and I don't have a husband and I don't have errands to run. I can go to the grocery store and learn how to make shakshuka. So that's on my agenda today. Also on my agenda, probably a rewatch of some Real Housewives of New York. I'm also doing a rewatch of Normal People on Hulu, which is really spicy and I highly recommend. Weirdly, I'm into this documentary on Netflix about blue zone countries, so I've got a pretty stacked day. Anyway, I say all this to say, whenever I'm hard on myself about why I'm not married and I don't have kids and I should be further along at 29, almost 30, I wouldn't want to do anything else this Saturday. And I know that you can do all these things when you have kids and you're married, and I understand, but the effortlessness and ease of my life, just kind of focusing on myself and the shakshuka I want to make or the Beyonce concert I want to go to, really pays off when I'm hard on myself for not being where society tells me I should be in life.
I thought it was gonna be really her going shot.
So, why do you guys think that this video went kind of crazy viral, and what's the analysis here?
I mean, it went crazy viral because Matt Walsh tweeted it. Let's be real. That would have just gone into the ethosphere on TikTok, and no one would have talked about it had he not picked that up and tweeted it.
Well, I don't know if Matt Walsh was the first person.
He was.
Oh, was
yeah.
he really? Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
But I guess what's interesting to me is that this woman has actually even said, she gives herself a hard time. She wants to be married. She wants to have children. So I don't think that it's right to demonize her and act like she's going to have a depressing life when she just hasn't found the right person, because clearly she wants those things and she's trying to make herself feel better and other people in that community feel better about not being that far along. Because like you said, you wanted people to settle down with the right person, take their time, figure out if that's the right person. So just because she's 29, you're saying that it's too late for her and she's going to be doing Xanax and drinking wine at night because she hasn't reached that point yet?
I didn't say that. That's not what my tweet said. That's not what my
you
tweet
said the future.
Yeah,
right.
Because she's obviously a narcissist, right? So
why
the
would you
issue,
think
first
that?
and foremost, let's not pretend this is one video that she made. It's her brand on TikTok. It's her brand on social media. She talks about these are this community known as dinks. We're happy and we're childless. She talks about how great it is to be childless. So she has developed she's a social media influencer that talks about childlessness. So let's not pretend this is one woman making a video who just said, oh, I had a great Saturday. there's absolutely no reason, if you had a great Saturday at 29 years old and you learned to make shashuka and you slept in at 11 until 11:15 or 10:15, whatever she said, that you need to bring up children. There's absolutely no reason. You just say, here's what I did today. I laid in all day. I did this. I did that. The fact that she has to correlate it to saying, and this somehow makes me better than people that have children, is the problem. She literally goes on to talk about not having children. It wasn't necessary in this video. So it's not like people are just shaming single women on the internet. You could go on right now and talk about what you've done all day, and there's no reason to bring up, but having a child or not. She's actually doing the shaming, and now we're trying to pretend that she's the victim. She's not. She has a brand where she talks about childlessness and she talks about leaning into selfishness and all the things that are amazing about not having children. Again, this is not the first video that she's produced. So the reason why, and if you're a man watching this, don't marry this woman. She's basically telling you she's selfish. She's telling you she's a narcissist. Everything she says is about me, 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 me. Even if you're single, you don't have to make your whole day revolve around you. You don't have to. You can get up in the morning, you can go help others, you can do other things. You can say, now that I have free time as a single woman, I can go dedicate time to the church. I can sing, I can do this, I can help people find God. That particular woman that you just looked at is a selfish bitch, and men should not marry her. That's my personal opinion.
You wanted to come in really quick?
Yes, I wanted to answer your question real quick as to, you said why it went viral. I
Sure.
think it went viral because it's like, nowadays, it's like, it's relatable in our day and age. You know what I mean? Like 22, 23 years old. I don't know how old this girl is, but like 29 or whatever. But in my day and age, like, it's relatable to be like, haha, we don't got kids. Like, quote
You're
unquote,
22.
fuck them kids. You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm glad you're admitting that.
It's like that.
I'm glad
like,
you're admitting that.
It's like a term that people use, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just relatable.
It's
like, that's why it gets so many views, is what, to answer your question.
I think that's really honest of you to say that.
You wanted to come in? Go
Fuck
ahead.
them kids.
Yeah.
No, I said
I'm
quote
just
unquote.
I was
that's what they say.
Yeah,
know
but
what
you're
I mean?
admitting that so that she's starting the fight. You're looking
And
at
it's a
people that are
trend,
moms
that are
Like,
trending.
I don't when
It's a
when I'm
trend.
with my kids.
Right.
I don't post videos and say F them single chicks with no kids.
Right.
She did the baiting, okay, and we responded. That's it.
I
Right,
don't know.
like it's a
The
new
first
trend
thing I was
type
going
of
to
thing.
say.
Hold on, let's just let Essie go ahead.
The first thing I noticed about the video was that she was putting people with kids down. It'd be fine if she was talking about how her day was and wording it differently, but it seemed like almost immediately from the beginning of the video that she was belittling people with kids, which I think is like the part of the problem.
Pixie, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think this is like up to interpretation, because personally when I saw that video, my interpretation was like, oh, she's putting herself down because she's saying like, oh, you know, when I tell myself why am I not further along in life, you know, it's okay because at least I'm enjoying these things. So I could definitely see, like, depending on how you're looking at it or if you have further context, why you would think she's putting kids down. But when I saw that video by itself, I was thinking like people are kind of going a little bit overboard in the sense that she says she's being harsh on herself. She doesn't have children, and these are just the things that have made her happy today. And I don't think that by itself, without additional context, is inherently wrong.
Anybody else? Tara, did I say it right this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the background of what other types of content and messaging she puts out, but just from that video alone, I don't think to me, I never got the impression she was shaming people that women that were married to kids. It felt like she felt bad that she wasn't already there and she was just trying to be optimistic about it. And so I think it sounded more like her content was about making women who are childless and not married yet and are approaching the end of their reproductive years to like look on the bright side. But I really, and all my friends know I'm like so eager and ready for like marriage and kids. But I really honestly just didn't get that impression from that video alone that she was in any way.
So when she was talking about, I got to go to a Beyonce concert and I didn't have to pay for a babysitter, you don't think that was belittling?
She was obviously
selfish of her to say that.
Yeah, she sounds selfish,
and she
was being rude. And if it was flipped and a conservative woman with children said the opposite of that to single women,
it would blow up.
It would blow up, and they would say, "How rude of you! Why are you even mentioning single women? Just say you had a good day with your kids. That's fine." If I said I woke up, went to the park with my kids, did that, okay. Chill. Why are you correlating it to children? It doesn't make any sense. So, and like I said, she's produced more content, so that the context is important. She's leaned into this as a brand and as an influencer. So, then you're going to expect the people that influence people to have families to respond. Matt Walsh being among them, me being among them, and I do would like to again warn men against marrying a woman who holds those sorts of perspectives, because she's ultimately just selfish. Like I said, you can have a day and you can be single. You don't have to dedicate your whole day to me, narcissist, me, here's what I did for me. It's just not a woman that you want to marry, full stop. For leaving the kids totally separate from it. I wouldn't marry a woman like that.
Go ahead.
And all I'm saying is, like, it's sad, but it's crazy that, like, it's a trend. You know what I mean? Like, that's why they're getting so many views on TikTok or Instagram or whatever they're posting these things on. It's like, it's a trend. Yeah. And you know, it's crazy.
Just a show of hands, who here wants to have kids one day?
More, yeah. It's my third, but
besides Candace, does anyone here have kids?
I do.
You got kids? How many?
Yeah.
You got?
I have a son. He's 21.
Okay, gotcha.
He's perfect, and I'm good.
Okay.
But one thing I noticed, a trend, like, I agree that it's a trend, and she's doing that to brand herself and go viral and get a lot of attention and maybe monetize that. When I talk with other girls and they're younger, and I'll say, "Are you married? Are you planning on having children?" Sometimes that's a hot button for them, and it's maybe perhaps these kind of trends are like it's a rebellious thing, because sometimes it's expected for people to get married out of the gate and have children and that kind of traditional lifestyle. If it's an expectation that parents have that they put on their children, and younger generations aren't having it, especially these days when it's so hard it's so expensive, people are having to work a lot, that's just one thing I've noticed. A little pushback on that question, even when I ask it. And I love children.
Gotcha. And I don't recall if you had a response to Candace or...
I mean, I was just going to say the opposite content does exist, and I would say that it's more prevalent, and usually there's more of it than there is the opposite. And whatever community she wants to represent, I think that somebody that is single, and obviously, like I said, she closed out the video saying, I know that women that are married and have children can do all of these things as well, but this is what makes me feel better because I'm not that far along. And I think if she's giving comfort and solace to women that want to be in that position and aren't quite there yet, whether you took it that way or not, I think that that's okay.
I don't think anything that she did in there was meant to be charitable. It was all about her. So, I mean, just a different interpretation, but I'm just happy that you were honest and admitted that it is becoming trendy to put down women.
Yeah.
But by the way, speaking to what you were saying about it being an act of rebellion, I used to be a feminist. If you had found me, you're 22, right? Found me at 22, I would have probably had the same perspectives as you about family. It is something different, and you will realize that when it's someone that's 29 years old and saying that, it's not the same intention. It's not, I'm young, I'm free, I'm wild, and I think I'm going to live forever. Mm-hmm. What she's doing is something different. And also, just recently today, actually, Emma Roddick-Jakowski came out with a quote about, I think getting divorced before you're 30 is chic. That's something else. And that a woman at 22, a woman at 29 saying something that is appropriate when you're at 21 or 22, it's a little different. And she knew what she was doing. It was intentional. And like I said, if you look into her content, this is not some innocent woman that was posting just to boost herself up on the internet. Mm-hmm. She's trying to get clicks. She's trying to get views. Right. And she got them, for better or for worse.
I want to come back a little bit now to people's relationship status. So, or not even so much relationship status, but perhaps it's related. So both of you do courtship?
Sex work?
Courtship?
Courtesan. That's an old-fashioned historical term.
Okay.
Back in the day, courtesans were able to own property, whereas the Little Miss didn't have that ability the way the laws were written back in the day of ancient years. Like, the wife was toddlerized. And then the courtesans were able to go and attend the meetings with the politicians and the business owners and actually state their case and be influential.
But, okay, so I'm just trying to differentiate here, because courtesan, that's, when I think of it, I think of people who are in the court, typically. There's a kingdom. Yeah. There's a kingdom, there's a monarch, and there's, maybe some of them are are maybe.
It's from that era.
But viceroys. Yeah. There's some viceroys in there. Yeah. There's a couple of, I don't know some other terms. Lords, ladies.
Yes.
But, okay, so you guys work in Nevada, is that correct? In what's the place that you guys work at?
There's different brothels. The Bunny Ranch, I've been at the Bunny Ranch. We've both been there. We've both worked at the world famous Mustang.
Okay.
Those are more normal.
Oh, so you guys both don't work there, or you don't work there anymore. Do you still work at the, what is it called, the Bunny Ranch, or?
So, hold on.
We're independent contractors. So
take your time.
So like when we're on tour, we contract ourselves out, with whomever.
Okay.
So that might change.
Sure. So a couple questions here. So I don't know, maybe it's changed throughout the course of your life, but how many, maybe you see men, maybe you see women, how many per day or per week, do you call them clients? What do you call them? Tricks?
Clients,
What do they call
friends.
them?
No, not tricks.
Marks?
No.
No? Okay. I don't know. I don't know the terminology. I'm not
I mean,
in the world.
some providers may, but they're not
Okay.
maybe the most respectful.
Okay.
I like to deem them friends as soon as I
Sure.
get to know them, and
Gotcha.
and we are like friends. Sometimes we're like married couples, but
Yeah.
it can be it depends, anywhere from like 2 to 3 a day. That's a lot,
2 to 3 a
but
day.
maybe
Okay.
5 a week.
Okay. What about you?
So anywhere between 2 to 3. Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Anywhere between 2 to 3.
Okay.
And sometimes 4 or 5, depending on.
Sure. Per day.
Yes.
Do you know what the most is in one day? Like, was there one day at
It
this?
always fluctuates.
Okay. Is there ever like a 10, a dozen?
I don't.
Yes.
Is that
There, I mean,
Baker's
yeah,
dozen?
it can. It
Okay.
can happen.
Sure.
I don't personally do that.
When coming off the heels of Dennis Hoff's Cat House, there were, I
What?
mean,
Oh,
10.
Nick, hide.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we're fine. Okay, all right, good. All right, welcome to the Whatever Podcast. Always something. Where were we?
I was mentioning after Dennis Hoff did his famous show, Cat House on HBO, he drummed up a ton of mainstream media. He got one of the girls on Oprah and whatnot. There were so many people coming in. Those were the days where maybe you'd be seeing like 10 clients, 12 clients in a day.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
that was a lot.
Gotcha. And for you two, has being involved in prostitution, has it had any impact when it comes to your romantic prospects?
Yeah, I've got to be able to be myself and fully disclose, and I need that person to accept me for who I am. Bottom line.
I have had no issues doing being a legal prostitute. I've had no issues being a legal prostitute just because I haven't been dating anybody within this time for that year.
Mm-hmm.
As for everything else, it's hard dating. I've ran into a lot of insecure men. Typically, those are the ones that can't handle me doing what I do for work. And
Just a point of clarification. So you've run into a lot of insecure men, and are they insecure because they don't want to date you because you are currently active as a prostitute?
No, I'm saying I've never dated a guy while I was working at the brothels, at the Bunny Ranch or the Mustang Ranch. But I've been dating guys, like, between me doing camming and dancing. So that's what I'm talking about.
But you mentioned insecure men. What specifically are they doing that makes them insecure? Is it because they're insecure about your work?
Yes, like I've had exes in the past that would cry about me going to work to dance at the strip club.
Okay.
I've had guys try to control like what I wear and say that I can't work at strip clubs or do OnlyFans or whatever.
Was there more?
No, and that's...
Okay. Is it because they're insecure, or is that just them having boundaries and standards?
I feel like that's... I mean, you knew what I was doing before you met me, right? So all of them knew exactly what I was doing before they met me, which brings it to, if you have a problem with what I do before you meet me, maybe don't get involved with me.
Sure.
I'm very open. I'm a very honest person. You knew what I was doing before you met me. If you don't like it, there's the door. Nobody's making you stay.
I think too, gentlemen love the idea of dating us, and then once we go to do it, then it's not really realistic.
Right. It's almost like fetish.
A fetish.
Like, you're right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's so hot. I have a girlfriend that does this, that, and the other, and then when they're really at home and I'm like on OnlyFans or on a call with a client or whatever, they're like, no, this is weird. This is weird. You know what I mean? And that, I think it's an insecurity, yes, because you knew where I was coming from, you knew what I was doing, and you weren't okay with it. Then you should have made that a point.
Well, I mean, I suppose you have a point that, I mean, if they knew going in that this is what you do for work, you're a stripper, or you're doing OnlyFans, or you're doing sex work, then I think it's a little bit of a stretch that all of a sudden, a couple weeks or months into a relationship, then they start changing up. But I think to differentiate the conversation a little bit, for example, like let's say, and I don't know if you mentioned this when it comes to like posting perhaps revealing photos online, not intended for commercial, like they're just on Instagram, but they're not monetizing it, they're not content creators, or like, for example, if they go to the bar, club, party a lot, would you consider it insecure if a guy, maybe 3 months into a relationship, at that point he started having issues with you or with another girl? Hey, he started saying, hey, I don't want you to go in the clubs and bars anymore.
And he already knew? You're saying he already knew this?
Well, like, I assume he knew. Yeah.
So if he already knew, then...
Well, I guess my framing is, prior to dating, he had no problem with you or with another girl engaging in what he considered to be single behavior at the time. But once you or whoever it is started dating, he wanted his partner to act in a way that he thought was more consistent with being in a relationship. So perhaps it's okay to go out to, me personally, even if I'm single, I'm not really interested in going to bars, clubs, and I don't post revealing photos online, but I don't know, I feel like that men don't do that too much. I mean, there's certainly men that post like whatever, anyways. But once you get into the relationship, there's expectations that certain things change.
Well, with the sex worker?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just differentiating when it comes to like posting revealing photos. If it's not for your work,
then yeah, like I can separate my work identity from my personal life.
Go ahead, you wanted to come in?
I think, I mean, if we're talking somebody that's not a sex worker and is posting revealing photos, I think that that's something that you talk about before getting into a relationship with somebody, because then if you're talking, you know, and a guy is like, you know, my expectations for my girlfriend are XYZ. I don't like these kind of revealing photos from my girlfriend. I don't like you going out all the time. And then I think from then on, that's when you decide whether to make a relationship serious or not. Because if she doesn't want to restrict where she's going or what she's doing or the type of photos she's posting for him, then that's her decision. But I don't think that it's wrong for a partner to ask her, you know, hey, if we're in a relationship, this is what I expect. And then, you know, she makes the decision, yes, I will do those things, or no.
But do you think that so early on, like say on the first date or second date, that there's enough of a relationship established for a guy to have enough, I don't know if leverage is the right word, but like enough pull or influence to be like, hey, listen, I don't want you doing this anymore?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
But that's, I mean, she just said that you should early on, you should say,
not date number one. Date
not
number
date
one
number one, not
crazy.
date number two. That is
maybe
wild.
date number
I mean,
3,
okay,
4.
Wait.
Like,
I think there's two things going on here. I think you can date someone, and then as a relationship evolves and changes, some things that you thought you were comfortable with, you're like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with this anymore. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. But I think that's very distinct than going into a relationship thinking, oh, I don't like the fact that she posts this types of photos. I'm going to make her stop. You know, I'm going to change her, basically. Because you're setting up, I think, everyone for disappointment. You're setting up yourself, her. There's a difference between going into something, having feelings change, talking from there, and intentionally trying to change before you even date, really.
I have a question. Yeah. If you ever fell in love with somebody, would you be willing to delete all of your stuff if they asked you?
Would I be...
Me? Yes. Oh. Okay. If you, as a sex worker and everything that you do, if you fell in love and you found someone and they asked you to stop.
So with that being said, I am currently single because of what I do for work. I am very much so busy doing my work, and I am full throttle, like wanting to make money and capitalize off of this industry to the best of my ability and make it to the point where I can retire. And then it's like also making this much money and doing what I do for work, it puts me in a position to be able to meet the type of guys that I want to meet, right? The higher end type of guys. And maybe later on down the line, not anytime yet, I would be open to it if I find everything happens for a reason. You know, you never say never, but like if I found Prince Charming or something one day and he didn't want me doing this anymore, or I wouldn't be doing this anyways. I want to retire from it at one point. And then, yeah, eventually maybe.
And when you say high-end men, what do you mean by that? Like high value men?
Yes, high value.
Or men with a lot of money?
High value.
Okay.
I have a question for you two here. So both of you do OnlyFans. Having done OnlyFans, continuing to do OnlyFans, has it had any negative impacts on your dating prospects? Does it make it harder to date? Has it been maybe non-issue at all? Some guys like it.
I've never had an issue with it, dating-wise. No one has ever, because I'm very upfront too. You know, first date, if this is what I do, if you don't like it, this is how I make my money. Unless you're going to pay me the same amount of money I'm making, then I'm not going to stop supporting myself. But yeah, I never really ran into issues. But again, I don't do full pornographic content or anything like that. So it probably is a little bit different for somebody on OnlyFans that does do that type of content. But I personally have never ran into an issue. My boyfriend at first was, you know, I told him and he was like, okay, well, if I'm going to date you, I have to be okay with this. And that was that. And it's never been an issue.
Sorry, I was asking a question. What kind of content do you do on OnlyFans?
Mainly topless content.
Okay.
So,
and you currently have a boyfriend?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Just that's the extent of it?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Essie?
I've also never had an issue in my dating life. I don't date that often though, but
right, because you've been single for 6 years.
Yeah.
But it might not necessarily be related to that you're now doing OnlyFans.
Yeah, I also don't do nudes on OnlyFans, so it's just like lingerie content.
Oh, okay.
So I think that also maybe helps because
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Question here for Candice. So, what are your thoughts on OnlyFans, sex work? And do you believe that a woman doing OnlyFans or porn might have an impact on her future romantic prospects? And if so, how and why? I can repeat any. That was a lot, so let me know if you need me to repeat anything.
I talk about this extensively on my show. I mean, the truth is that if you are going to engage in sex work, you are going to probably make a lot of money, especially if you're young. You're on a very tight rope. As you get older, your value goes down, and men are going to want women that are younger and available to them. I'm talking about in terms of just making the person who will subscribe to your OnlyFans page. You know, obviously, women, you're declining as you age. And the truth is that high-value men don't want to date women that are sex workers or even women that aren't sex workers and lean into the whole talking about how sexy and are freely available on the internet for other men to see. What we're talking about is biological proclivity. What men are doing when they first say, it sounds amazing to date a stripper or to date a prostitute or to date a sex worker, is there's this instinct to have sex. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to have sex all the time. But then when they realize that actually a form of wanting to be in a relationship is feeling that there's a mystery to a woman, that there's something that's yours, there's something that's sacred, there's something that's powerful and beautiful that just you share. And when they realize that they have to share that with other men, it completely diminishes the man. A recent cultural example of that, obviously, is what's happening with Nina Agdal. She's not a sex worker by any means. She just kind of said some sexy things on the internet about wanting cock, and look at what...
Was not expecting that from Candace.
I'm quoting her directly, so this is purely academic. Purely academic, and look at what happened. You know, now Logan has become the laughing stock of other men as they piece together everything that she's ever said that's overtly sexual. And again, she's not a sex worker, but what happened is her value just completely plummeted because, they're this thing that men need to feel. And I don't want to say possession in a way that sounds bad, because it's not bad. It's actually really beautiful. And I'm lucky and fortunate that I get to experience that in my marriage, you know, and it's something that women should strive toward. Women that make those exchanges in their youth, I think that's sad, and I do feel bad for Nina Agdal, is because she said a lot of those statements when she was really young. She's probably your age. And she had a camera, and she said it, and it lives forever. Right. And now every man that she dates is going to say, Dylan Danis has made her available to everyone. And I hope things work out between her and Logan, but if you don't think that that's going to impact Logan, or that's not actively impacting him as a man, it is. So with women, it's a trade-off. First thing you said was, I make money. This is about money. It's about money, but when it comes down to marrying these women, men just don't want it.
And that's exactly why I said that in this industry, I'm single until I retire.
But it will still matter.
I don't plan on doing this or getting married or finding the love of my life until I retire, like, truthfully. And then after
hope
that
you see what happens to Nina Agdal.
No. And then after that, I will be honest and truthful with the person that I will be getting married to or whatever, and it'll be up to him to accept that, right? So,
I'm just saying that men's natural proclivity is to not accept that because it brings them shame. Men are biologically proud creatures.
I understand, but not everybody can be like that.
No, I know. I'm not. I'm just telling you what is happening and why people are. I'm just talking about cultural events, the Nina Agdal thing, and if you look at people like Emily Ratajkowski, she's obviously hot, but this is a woman who's now trying to make divorce chic, and I think that the understanding is in Hollywood is, you know, sleep with her and move on. She's not marriage material. Her husband, when he had her, cheated on her because they didn't have that thing. I feel like I've slept with the girl. I've seen her naked so many times, right? So there's nothing special about Sebastian Baer marrying her because we've all seen her naked. There's nothing sacred in that relationship. And I'm just speaking on telling you, you know, this is why women struggle to get married when they've made themselves available on OnlyFans, because other men don't want to share. They don't want to share their wife. They maybe will share their girlfriend. They might think it's fun to date a stripper for a little bit. They might think, oh, this means I'm going to have sex 12 times a day. But then when it gets down to just their biological instinct, it's actually quite embarrassing for them as a man, because they can look up your girl and here she is, you know? So that's what I think is happening.